Entropia Universe just hit Steam, and to celebrate all the new players pouring in, I call upon you, experienced players, to do your duty and mentor at least one or two. This may be costly as a large portion of players will never complete the discipleship, so I am here to help you to be the mentor that the players will look up to for guidance and will be their helping hand on a journey that has a steep learning curve. To do this, we will first show you what it is to be a new player and what he has to go through. The Steam variant will be most likely the primary way for now that new players will find the game, but your disciples may come from affiliate links, of course, as they may be your own viewers. This is what your future disciple has just gone through. After registration, the player will have to complete email verification, and the player can play the starting area but must verify the email before moving on to Calypso. Character customization is pretty advanced and some is locked but can later in game be altered. Regardless of the locked options, the character can be highly customized. You start in a research center, and when you leave through the door you will be in Tool. Once you wander outside, you are greeted with plenty of tutorials and a quest giver awaits you outside. There's also an AI guide for further questions. The start may already be an obstacle for a new player, as you need to shoot drones. You can't select the drones, which means your crosshair needs to be on the drone itself, unlike monsters in Entropia. You can also press V to go into first person mode and hold right mouse button to freely aim. The Alt key controls whether your mouse pointer is visible or your weapon is locked to your mouse movement. Afterwards, you get information about quests and maybe a friendly player telling you already where to get more help. The next missions lead you to kill Exerosaurs, and these you can simply right click to auto shoot. You can also do some sweating there, and it's important to note that you need to activate HUD mode with the L key. This will allow you to drag and drop items from your inventory or even move around the menus. Press L again or escape to close the HUD mode. You will obtain the VSE sweating tool, which will help you get some sweat going, which is a free to play resource. Those can be freely traded with other players for real money. About 2.5 pet per 1000. In the next step you'll get a 5.0 healing tool, which you need to heal yourself after getting an oil rig sample. Oil rigs can be found around the world and will provide you free oil as well, but may often be contested as PvP areas. The gun you get from the start is the Iwi EP1 Neutron. For level 0 players the ideal gun, and in the next camp is access to a trade terminal, which is very dangerous as it may lead players to buy the better guns there. However, the learning period of the Iwi is 0 to 0.1, and after this the gun will be the most economical and optimal to use, but before that the gun will not shoot the maximum damage. The pistol from the trade terminal and any other weapon there will have a learning period up to level 3, which is quite steep, and you will lose out 0.5 to 1 damage per shot, which means you pretty much shoot 20% less efficiently, which may look small but will be a direct loss in your profits. So if you are a disciple, focus on weapons within or beyond the learning period. But this comes with a bonus to have a weapon within the learning period. Namely, you will get bonus skills shooting it, so that it rectifies much of the loss you get, as skills in itself have pet value too. Luckily, in the tutorial area it's going to be extremely hard to get that pet to even buy those guns this early in the game. The next lesson is mining, and the players get everything they need to mine. I never had one disciple ever telling me that they already learned this, so I always explained everything in great detail, so it's good to know that they already know how to mine. And then comes vehicles, and you get a free vehicle and some oil to use. You learn to refuel it, which can be done from inventory by right clicking on the vehicle and refuel, or also just place the vehicle and simply drag the oil from your inventory onto the vehicle. And you now have to face robots, the bane of every colonist, and quickly find out you may not be strong enough for this, or at least have trouble clearing them out. This also is the time that Entropia actually gives a tutorial about depositing. Entropia Universe is playable, free to play, but it's not going to be easy. Just as in real life, if you have no money, you will struggle. I cannot stress enough how important it is to get the starter pack. There is no better kickstart on this planet to help you start it. The weapons and armor are extremely good and will last you for months of playtime. You can sweat Find dung and fruits and even oil, which you can sell and slowly build your fortune over the next months. Or you can work 4 hours at McDonald's and get 800 hours worth of playtime to get yourself started. There are 2 starter sets, one for $10 and one for $20. They both come with a very stylish normal clothes, consisting out of boots, leggings, suit and a cloak. The $10 suit comes with 500,000 universal ammo, which is worth $5, and a combat knife, hunting rifle, first aid pack and a skill booster pill. For experienced players, this pill alone is worth the pack, as it will give you a massive skill boost and several good bonuses like auto loot and regeneration for 50 in-game hours. The weapons and healing item will be good as well, but you must realize using them you will level fast, but shoot a bit at a loss at first to get through the learning period. But again, thanks to being in the learning period, you will level up faster, and the weapons look very cool, especially the knife. The gear looks futuristic and updated, a lighter set for the $10 pack, and from the top menu you can open Progress to get a little menu showing you your recent skills, professions, and the current progress in learning your weapon. You can click on the items to open a little context menu and select all the skills you recently learned. Skills are individual progress towards professions and also work towards attributes. There are many skills and professions in Entropia, but just focus on the ones your weapon learns for now. Attributes consist out of 6 skills: agility, health, intelligence, psych, stamina and strength, and these are your primary stats. For example, health directly gives you more health, so you will survive longer, and strength directly gives you more inventory carry capacity. Professions will come later and once you level yourself up, but you can sneak peek at what you are working on through the progress menu. For example, ranged laser is active and I shoot with a laser gun, but that laser gun automatically makes you also level different guns a bit, like the BLP, the Gauss and the plasma snipers. Same with knife fighting, you also level swordsman and clubber. This is because the professions consist out of many small skills and attributes. You gain strength when you hit with a melee weapon, and all 3 melee professions use strength, thus you level them all. That is the basic concept. The $20 pack is a must-have. Skip the 10, go for the 20. If you can't afford it, do anything in your power to get it. This set is so important because it will kickstart your investment and will give you enough to play without worries for months. The set looks a bit better and gives more than double the defenses of the $10 pack, while still having exactly the same requirements as the $10 version, which makes it simply a no-brainer. You can save the equipped armor as a loadout to switch faster, and each armor has different stats and so does each enemy. A robot will often do penetration or burn damage, while most dinosaurs and wild monsters do impact damage. So you will have multiple sets. Same counts for the weapons, they almost double in damage. You also get a bigger vehicle and a vehicle repair tool with enough welding wire to last you a lifetime. Last but not least, you get 1.25 million ammo. That's $12.5 worth of ammo and 250 oil or 5 pet worth. All in all, the bonus items you get from the 20 pack are much higher and also the gear is twice as good. When an enemy hits you, you learn the evade skill and for robots the dodge skill, which will be important as it's the most eco way to fight, not getting hit, as you don't lose durability on armor and so on, which will cost money in repair. So these are very important skills, and the higher it is, the easier it will be to dodge or evade higher level monsters in the future. If you are stuck in any way, for example in your vehicle, don't look for keys but just hold right mouse on the vehicle. You may need to get the mouse pointer with the Alt key first, and then everything will show a context menu. Hold right, click for a second or so on another player and you can invite, befriend or even start makeup. Hold it in the worlds, you can open mentor systems, open emotes, hold it on a car, you can leave and refuel and all. So this is your quick menu in the game. Be careful, after defeating the robots you can leave, but there will be a storage terminal there which should be removed right away in my opinion, as it doesn't share storage with the mainland and it may be hard to return later. You will land on the beaches of Camp Icarus and get the next mission to hunt some Tripudians. You are now on the main planet and will most likely stay here for a very long time, but there are more planets and a space above your head to explore. As you may have noticed, every new mob you defeat will start a challenge in the Codex. Your Codex is your best friend. Every time you level up, you can increase skills rapidly because you always can choose from multiple skills to increase. Every few ranks of creature challenges will also give you a meta attribute level up, and this will be your primary attributes like health and stamina, etc. Also, most quests will do the same, give you skills and not just free ammo. That doesn't mean you shouldn't, because equally longer quest chains will give you guns, armor and more, and things may be rare and fetch a great price on the market. And the first one starts right in Camp Icarus. Alex Bookin will give you the Trophy Hunt quest. It used to be a Bookin's blade, but now it's another healing tool and Bookin's spare rifle. Bookin's spare rifle can be compared with the $10 pack rifle. Just do the quests as far as you can. If you chose to stay free to play, that is absolutely fine, but you may find yourself running out of ammo soon while doing the missions. You also want armor and a better weapon, and you know you can sweat to make money or just explore to find fruits, but you are now in the perfect place to find yourself a sponsor. And in this game it's called mentors. Your mentor can give free stuff, but of course that's not what it is required. Most importantly is they will give you the help and tools you need to succeed. If you complete the discipleship, you get a full set of armor, very good and upgraded, and vehicles and more. Your mentor will also get a random item which may or may not be very valuable, so has full incentive to help you succeed. You can choose a mentor from the list, but there's a good chance no one will respond, because you can't see how long they've been offline. You can also see if they have a good rating, etc. And ratings means that the graduated disciples deemed the mentor as a good help or not. But this way is not a good way. Your first option will be rookie chat, which will have many experienced eyes watching it, and you can simply ask for a mentor. But you can also just relax near Camp Icarus, and this is the most preferred option. You will see players there, and the fancier they look, the most likely they will be very higher level, and they are there for you. They are actively looking for new players to mentor. Mentors will take the help over from the tutorial you just finished and will teach you about mining, about crafting, about the best places to sweat and more, and they also may help you with that scary gauntlet you cannot complete on your own. So this next part will be shown from the perspective of a mentor. I have been mentoring some in the past, and not everyone is playing anymore. This is a serious consideration you have to make for yourself. Keep your expectations within reason and think like this. Many will leave before completing the discipleship, and what can I do to make them stay? All I can do is share my method, and I've been active as a mentor in the past, and it somewhat hurts when a disciple you invested in never returns, but it pales in comparison of the happiness you get when someone succeeds. There is the ideal scenario. You see someone walking around with a beginner set from the webshop, and that person is looking for a mentor. That's going to be an easy one. But it will be much better to get someone to stay and get the beginner set because of your mentorship, so don't give up on those free-to-play players just yet. To reel them in, go to Camp Icarus, and you could meet them in Tool, but they are in the middle of a tutorial, so that might be a little bit too intrusive and scare them off. And after doing some of the quests in Camp Icarus, most players will be in a state of confusion what to do next. Besides hunting, most elements will be vastly overwhelming, and direction is what they need the most. You could also go to sweat areas like Boreas, but if a new player is already there, you may not be in the best place, because someone most likely already brought them there. Approaching a new player can be very subtle. Many will run around in need of healing. Getting them back to full health is a great initial way to connect. You could follow up with making a quirky comment or asking them if they're having fun. For example, I had one disciple trying to push the AI off the cliff. This is a gift from above, because this makes a great way to connect, and you can throw out your lure and see what lands. The moment they ask for help will be your hook. That may even come in the way of them asking for stuff, which is a risk you may or may not like to accept. For me, it matters not much. Invite them as a disciple and tell them you can help them find their bearings if they accept. I like to prepare a welcoming gift before anything else, and you can ask yourself, what physical items does a new player need the most? In my opinion, that's going to be ammo and armor. Just something to separate their looks from the rest who are running around is already a great advantage. You can of course argue that giving them armor will be adding decay to their bankroll, which is not as good, but for now it's just to lure them in. What they do with the armor is all up to them. I'm a bit more generous to free players, maybe too generous, but I want them to feel home. So I often throw in a few pad, add some ammo, and pick a few pieces of armor or sometimes a gun. Important is not to overdo this because they cannot use any good guns, so it would be quite useless to give a level 3 gun to a level 0 player as they would simply waste a lot of ammo. This makes armor a bit safer. I prepared quite a collection of just small items that give a little edge. Set yourself one golden rule. Only give something to someone after they accepted your mentorship. Also do not lure them in unless they are completely stuck and have no ammo. The new player now has incentive to stay with you and will be open to show them around. So this opens up the next step for you. Invite them in a party and maybe even your society so they feel welcome. Once you're in a party, you may simply ask if they want to do the gauntlet with you. And you can start stage 1. This is going to be a heartache, as even when you walk in to get all the aggro, the robots may completely murder your disciple the moment you blink with your eyes. So let them give first hit and finish them off. At the end of the dungeon, you can give the shrapnel looted to the disciple as well. Regardless of being free to play or not, the best place to fly will be Boreas and unlock the teleporter with you. This will connect them with a large sweating circle and will help give you a few minutes to get to know your disciple. Ask where they're from and what to expect from the game, maybe even their gaming background and if they are familiar with real cash economy. I also try to make it abundantly clear that this is not a casino, but sure as hell can be one if the player chooses this path. Once flying, you have more than enough time to teach about setting location markers on the map and sharing it in chat. This way the disciple can see where you're going and how long it will take. One pit stop is mandatory, and that's going to be Athena's spaceport. And 1, because it looks very cool, and 2, because it's a perfect place to have all things a new player needs in one space. A daily terminal, mining guild, token traders, constructions and more. Explain to the new player about the daily quests, just take them and when they're impossible, you come back the next day, you delete them and grab an alternative. And same for the mining guild, take whatever quest you can. This is important as it gives them something to work for, some direction. Show the token traders and explain that combat tokens come from certain quests and bosses and will still be out of their reach for now. You could also lead them to Port Atlantis, but that is the other direction and I found out that it's slightly overwhelming for new players. When you are sure the disciple took the teleporter, you can fly on to Boreas. I noticed some players have a hard time finding the teleporters they own, so you could tell them to stand near the teleporter and right click and open the interface and select the T icon to see all the teleporters they have at that moment. And also that you have to stand near that teleporter, else you won't see them. The players will have some teleporters already, mostly all relate to player housing like Hestia, Leva's Heights, etc. If you have no means to fly or travel otherwise, it is best to drive to Port Atlantis, else you have no way to learn about crafting later. New Treasure Island does have a crafter, but not a technician for the blueprints, so is actually not possible as well. Once arrived in Boreas, allow the disciple to sweat a bit and heal everyone around. You can tell more about completing discipleship as well, which means talking about the 3 primary jobs in Entropia. Hunting, mining and crafting, and also explains that each of the 3 will give you an achievement. Hunting with your mentor may already be completed in a gauntlet, so the next focus is mining. New players already got some mining tools, but especially the Finder has abysmal durability, and this also counts for the one from the trade terminal, which has about the same stats and durability, but it requires a higher learning period. You could decide to give him a F101, which has much more durability and is unlimited, but will throw 10 times the probes, which means 1 pet per throw. So after giving the disciple a hunting package, I often prepare a mining package as well. Add a refiner as well, and this means I already invested a lot into this player. And it's all optimal and not needed, but we're aiming to keep the player playing for at least a month. So Boreas is a perfect place to do some mining. I usually explain mining, but since it's part of the tutorial, most players know what to do. And this completes the second achievement. Try to keep a bit track what the player finds while mining, as you may need that information later. Don't rush information on the disciple and take pause between every step. Give the player time to mine, heal the player and clear out aggressive monsters. Slowly pass on information related to what the player is doing at that time. At this point there is only one achievement left, and that's to craft an item. So if the disciple is ready for it, ask if the disciple wants to learn about crafting. Usually this is a yes, and invite the player back to Spaceport Athena. This is going to be the last tutorial for that day, and that's going to be crafting. The technician will have a lot of blueprints, so make sure the player has at least one pet to his name to get the blueprint. Tell him also about the books, that they are an optimal investment, and tell the player to simply buy all the blueprints available, as they are not that many. Afterwards, the player can make his own choice, but you could prepare one more package to ensure the player has what the player wants most. And that's going to be armor. The settler armor pieces are great and cost some basic materials: iron, lysterium and tipanolic gas. You might decide to sponsor these materials so the player can make his own armor, or help the disciple to obtain it through mining. I consider this a full day of mentoring and may be advised to leave the player to fend for himself for now. And there's one last gift you could consider, and that's a flying vehicle of sorts, whether a helicopter or a Sleipnir. They're a bit pricey, but will greatly enhance the player's experience, as the player now can explore on his or her own. With the player now well prepared, you can plan a next session and invite the player to come to Camp Icarus. This time it's high time for some sightseeing, but you may want to bring a little item, the whip. If you take the beach route from Camp Icarus to Port Atlantis, you will run into a little cute critter called a Bristol Hawk. A great place to teach taming. Any creature with a heart icon can be tamed, and you could mix this lesson by talking about finding fruits, a free-to-play activity. Using the refiner to add sweet stuff and fruits together, Nutrio bars are made, and those can be fed to the pets. However, pets can also be just activated and follow you without feeding them at all. It will just affect the skills they give. After that, you can show Port Atlantis. If you couldn't reach Spaceport Athena, then this is the place where you also will learn about crafting. The economy section will have everything. And the next part is of course the Atlantis Mall. The disciple may know about housing already, since they automatically have all the teleports to go see them, but shops are a whole different level. All the sightseeing spots are of course Never Die, or you can simply fly straight up to space. You should be able to navigate carefully around the spaceport and maybe even show some space mining without putting you and the disciple at risk. At this point you may have gone way and beyond your call of duty. Now it's time for the disciple to prove its worth. You can check in daily or whenever you have time and talk about the progress. The disciple needs to skill up before you can take the disciple to more serious hunting grounds. An activity me and a disciple that graduated uses was to do the bullpen, and if the disciple has the skills or just try to help a little, especially on the last wave, with either healing you or sneak in some shots before cowering back onto the vehicle, it will add some extra excitement and a sense of helpfulness. Back in the day when a good friend was still alive, we used to do the Christmas event. He will forever be the first disciple and will never graduate, but he would simply just heal me and I would reward him and reimburse the costs, plus add some bonus each time. This way, even free-to-play players can start working on a bankroll, since you ensure they don't run a loss healing you. Another way is to buy resources, sweats and fruits at a slightly too high markup, helping them succeed. Eventually they will or will not graduate. They may run out of money or ammo and give up, and it's not your duty to fund them. I try to reserve a 100 to 200 pet budget for a disciple in total, which is actually a bit too much, but I think doing our duty to build a better community is much more important than that small amount of PAD. None of the gifts I mentioned will make you a better or worse mentor. You can very well help a disciple to get to a point without spending a dime, and of course you should ask your disciple, maybe directly or maybe after a day, are you planning to go free to play or are you thinking about investing? This will also help determine how much you need to invest, as a paying player will have the tools to succeed and just requires your guiding hand. It will be very hard to have a free to play succeed, but not impossible. I hope you got some inspiration from this and step in to take a Prodigy for yourself. Especially with the Steam launch, Camp Icarus was busy. And thank you for watching. Don't forget to check out my other guides and subscribe to help me grow so I can make more content.